Welcome, everybody. We appreciate you joining us. And this is not off the top, this is not a sales pitch. This is really an invitation to have an open conversation about what is your next chapter. I know, based on the conversations that I have, that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of independent advisors out there that are thinking about their next chapter right now, just to think about what is their best next step for their career, what's best for their team, what's best for their clients. And our objective today is simply to share a little bit about what we are up to. And so we're going to share those ideas for about 40 minutes or so. You're going to get 4 different perspectives, helping you think about, what sort of home might be better for you, what kind of platform might be better, and frankly, just what is your next chapter. You'll hear from me and then Braden, Connor, and Ben. Each of us have a very different vantage point, and we're all here for the purpose of building something very unique and having a profound impact on the Canadian marketplace. So we'll continue on with something that I hear a lot, because most days I talk to at least 1 or 2 advisors or someone that wants to become an advisor in Canada. And the most common takeaway that I have from all of these conversations, and literally there's been hundreds of them, is that people feel that they're building something meaningful, but they feel like they're building it alone. Now, there is bias in who I speak to. So I speak to advisors who share the philosophy that we have, both on investments as well as the planning philosophy. So there is a bias, of course, but the people I talk to, honestly, they're in pain. They built an amazing team, serving amazing clients with great relationships, but they truly do feel alone. Often I hear this, that they feel like others in the office think they're kind of nuts for their investment philosophy, or how much effort and how serious they treat financial planning. They're also in platforms very often that, they're what I call LCD managed, lowest common denominator managed. But the biggest pain point is people feel like they're not part of a greater mission. Yes, they may have a great mission inside their team, but the whole environment around them is not, something with a grand purpose or a grand mission. And I think people are really yearning for that feeling. And this is exactly what we have been building for. We're just celebrating our 30th anniversary this past month, and we have this amazing team on this amazing mission. And that's what we are here to talk about today. So let's go to the agenda. There's 4 basic issues we're going to cover off today. Why are the best advisors the most frustrated? What does a platform built for one purpose actually look like? What does it feel like to be an advisor here? And is this right for you? Presenting today, and again, each of us chose, I think, quite interesting paths and deliberate paths to get here. I've been here for just about 30 years. I've been in the industry almost 35 years. I've been a student of the industry, and I can tell you, I have never had a more exciting time than right now. Braden, our financial planning product architect, he's the engineer here who is obsessed with making our planning platform better every single day. Braden, he will share this with you. He, to me, is the epitome of what's important here. Connor from Regina, 3rd generation business owner who joined PWL last summer. He didn't leave his firm. He didn't sell out. He actually brought with him an enterprise to help make us all better and to make us all create something bigger. They're an incredible team that joined us. And Ben, I've known for over 30 years. He spent years an advisor. Before that, he was a compliance specialist, and now he helps architect the path forward for great advisors to join us. So each one of us, I think, will bring something unique and honest and hopefully valuable for you today. So before we get going, I want to get some feedback from the people here today. And if you could just put something in the chat that answers this question: what is getting in the way of you doing your best work? It could be one word, it could be a quick sentence. I just love to see what you guys are thinking and feeling right now. Technology. Banks. I'd love someone to expand more on that, but we will talk about that in the next slide. Compliance. Interesting. Technology platforms that don't talk to each other. Pretty sure Braden's got some insights on that. Canadians' love for the big five. I'm with you on that. Time crunch being solo. Efficiency. So much about the platform. Access to colleagues who can audit our work to ensure it's as good as possible. What a great one that is. That's one of the great benefits of
Yeah.
being
What a
part of
great
one
example
team.
there.
Yeah. People sticking to the comfort of traditional banks and their options. Absolutely. The environment I'm in. Add some words to that. What about your environment? An environment that prioritizes sales over service. You have no idea how many times I have those conversations with people. Get us a pretty good sense of the kind of environment that people are living in, the products, the culture. So this is exactly the opportunity we see that I wanted to share. This to me represents the great opportunity we have. On one side, the public really is changing. How practices are built, in my opinion, is very different today than it was when I started back in the days where you could hustle and meet people and get referrals and whatnot. But many Canadians are getting literate quicker than I believe the industry can respond. There's more and more high quality content, such as the great work that Ben Felix does and the podcast. But there's lots of other great sources of good information, both inside and outside of Canada, that are helping people make smarter financial decisions. Now, there's also a lot of not so great content, but people are getting smarter. And I think the tide is turning. And I don't believe the industry, for a bunch of reasons, like has been highlighted in these comments, that the industry just can't keep up with. There is greater awareness of options that are cheaper. Canada pays some of the highest expense ratios in the world, and we have some of the lowest adoption rates of index funds on the planet, which is just unfortunate, in my opinion, that that's the case. But this is also the great opportunity. The other thing that happens in Canada is that most Canadians, I believe, don't even know there is an independent, non-bank, non-insurance company channel out there, right? And when you go to look at firms in the independent channel, we kind of all look and sound the same, so it's very hard to stand out. But you can stand out with the belief system and the communication system to get good information in front of people. On the other side, the industry can't keep up. I think it's very difficult for banks, which is the bank's and insurance company. I've read statistics, something like over 80% of all long-term assets in Canada are being managed inside the banking and insurance system somewhere. It's very hard for them to deliver the kind of high quality financial planning focused advice for some of the reasons people highlighted in the comments. Focus on products, focus on sales, as opposed to focus on the high quality planning. Low cost, systematic, index type strategies really are margin killers for the banks. It's very hard to embrace financial planning matters and markets work philosophy in a banking environment, in my opinion, because it's hard to deliver, it takes a lot of time, and are margin killers when you have in-house products that create margin from the the MERs or the mutual funds. On top of that, we've got this advisor succession tsunami coming. I'm about to turn 60. I think the average advisor in Canada is somewhere plus or minus my age a little bit. So there's a big wave of change coming. Who's leading the teams, where a lot of the wealth is being managed in Canada. And behind that, and this, I live every single day. There is an enormous number of young, progressive, thoughtful, smart people that want to make a change in our industry. I know this because they reach out to me and to us every single day. They want to make a change. They want to be part of a team. They're mission, purpose driven people. They don't view the world through the lens of payouts and product selling. They view the world through, I want to make a difference in people's lives. 1,000 Canadians turn 65 every single day. There is this huge change that is about to happen. So you got these two forces coming together with this opportunity that I think that we are perfectly suited for. We are the largest scaled firm in Canada that believes that planning really matters and markets work. So let's jump under the hood. I want to pass this over to Braden to carry on with what this platform can look like and does look like.
So a little bit about me. Um, a decade ago, I was in the middle of studying engineering with full intentions of becoming an engineering professor. And then I discovered PWL, and I had a bit of an understanding of the finance industry in Canada and wealth landscape. And I immediately saw the opportunity that PWL had to disrupt the industry and make an impact on the lives of Canadians, really for all the reasons that Cameron just mentioned. And for me personally, I saw the gap that my skill set could fill at PWL. There's a big challenge of taking all of the work that Ben Felix is doing and promoting and all the great content that he's creating, and then building a platform that advisors can deliver that level of advice at scale to clients across the country. So it becomes a complicated technical business challenge, the kind of stuff that I get really excited about. And I don't think that challenge is unique to PWL. I've talked to a bunch of advisors across the country, and I think everybody kind of faces this somewhere along the way. I hear it all the time that advisors are struggling with balancing
their business and also building and maintaining their client relationships. So the main thing that that I see is that all of these little things that are involved with building a business kind of pull away from the advisor-client relationship. And when we think about at the top, investment due diligence, I don't know how many of you guys listened to the Rational Reminder, but when Aravind was on here recently, he laid it out pretty clearly that to do due diligence properly is a full-time job. And just like imagine balancing all of the due diligence tasks along with maintaining and building your client relationships, and it can put a big strain on that. And then when you also think on the planning side, tax planning, insurance planning, staying on top of all of these things is another full-time job. And then you bring in the technology world and trying to like integrate all of these different software, like the planning software, the portfolio management software, and then tacking AI onto that, and it becomes a completely different skill set that advisors aren't really well equipped to handle. And then there's the business side, the lead gen side, and then as you grow and scale, you hiring more advisors, and you turn into a manager and an HR person, and then there's the implementation and trading, and all of this stuff is taking away from what advisors are really what they really came to the business to do, which is make an impact on people's lives. Our solution to that problem is by offloading that work, offloading that business overhead to us, and allowing us to plug subject matter experts into each one of those areas. We can have Ben Felix focus on research and developing content and generating leads, all those things that he's really good at. I'd say probably one of the best in the business at. And then we can combine that with a planning council of some of the best planners in the country to come up with a scalable planning process that is top in the industry. And then you also combine that with engineers and analytical people that are all bought into the same fundamental mission of improving client outcomes, but bring a technical skill set that is pretty difficult to replace on your own. And then having someone like me be able to coordinate all of those things and to understand the research, understand the tech side, understand the advisors and what their needs are and what the client's needs are, to ultimately make things happen. And if we go to the next slide, we'll be able to see what that actually looks like in terms of the platform that we're building. So I want to highlight two big products that we've been able to release recently. The first one on the left is our planning checklist, and it consists of over 100 planning items. It's Ben Felix's master list of planning items, 100 planning items on all of the 6 categories of planning. And what this allows advisors to do is it allows them to track all of these planning things in one location. So you guys have all used planning softwares, but most of them really don't cover the entire spectrum of financial planning, meaning reviewing the will, beneficiaries, TFSA successor holders. None of this information is being captured in the planning software. That's what the checklist solves for. It has all of that stuff in it. It allows you to see how you're scoring on each of the 6 planning categories so that you know where to focus your time. And it will show you, it'll prompt you when things need to be updated. And then the second example is our risk profiling tool. And we actually just released a free version of this on our website a couple of weeks ago. But I think it's just such a great example of what happens when you bring all of those diverse skill sets together with the same mission of improving client outcomes. Because I think so many other firms out there would treat the risk profiling process as a compliance checkbox, when really, to us, it's so much more than that. Because a client's asset mix really dictates so much about their client experience. We want to maximize their client outcomes from a planning perspective, maximize their net worth or their spending or whatever their goals may be. And that oftentimes means higher equity exposure. We also want to make sure that our clients can sleep at night and they're in a product that's suitable for them. So it's striking that balance between maximizing the performance of their plan and also making sure that they have a good experience during their investment life cycle. So that's why it's really important to us to put a lot of effort into that. So we built that ourselves, and we're constantly working on it. We actually just released that update a couple of weeks ago, but we're still looking at incorporating some of the latest research to make it even better. And now moving on, what would it take to actually get there under the hood? All of this stuff is integrated together, and it's centered around our data lake at PWL that we've built, that we have data engineers built and maintain, so that we own all of our own data. It's critical for us to integrate all of our vendors that we work with, like Conquest, like our portfolio management software, and our proprietary tools, so that when someone reaches out to us on our website, that contact information can just cycle through into HubSpot for Angelica. It can cycle into our CRM, into our data lake, and then to Conquest and OneVest for onboarding, and our portfolio management software and our custom tools, all automatically, so that there's no advisors keying in contact information every step of the way. It just makes for a more efficient process and allows advisors to spend more time doing what they actually want to be doing, which is building and maintaining their client relationships. All right, I'll pass that over to Connor, who can give you a little bit more color in terms of someone who actually made that switch in the last year.
Great, thanks, Braden. And I'm looking forward here to sharing my experience with all of you. I think the concerns that everyone shared in Cameron's section, they ring so true to me, and I felt most of them. So I mean, I just want to say I sympathize with all of you, because I felt all these things that you mentioned there, and my brother and I dealt with these a lot of those items for many years. But anyways, to kick off my start here, or the start of my my portion of the presentation, just to give you a bit of a background on who I am. So I started TCM Financial Studio with my dad and brother. We a third generation business that was started by my grandfather. 2012, we went through a big rebrand and started using index funds and planning first approach. And I remember some advisors telling my dad that we were going to run the business into the ground by using index funds. Turned out that worked quite well for us. But so 2022, that was a time frame. Maybe it was just after COVID that we really started to dig deep and x-raying all aspects of our business, and that involves tech, which Braden talked about. That infrastructure and data lake was a key kind of thing that hooked us into kind of going through this whole process of x-raying our business. But I would say that expanded out to systems, compliance, operations, HR, hiring, all of those things, all of those aspects of the business we started to x-ray and look at. And that led us to identify kind of what was working and what wasn't working. And what I would say was working was the growth of our business. Like I mentioned, the uptake of index investing and financial planning. It's always kind of funny to me that we have like a competitive advantage from the investment side, offering index funds and focusing on the financial planning aspects. So we had a lot of growth by referral, which was great. And I think a big piece of this is we were having fun. Our team was having a ton of fun. The culture was great. We were enjoying our work. But I'd say what what wasn't working is I think a few people mentioned this in the in Cameron's section, is that ongoing conflict between my brother and I, and dad. We had such high standards in how we run the business, and someone mentioned time crunch being solo. Like that's for sure. Ensuring the business receives the care and attention it needs, especially as I'd say the technology landscape continues to evolve very quickly. And I would say there's the conflict of that between our high standards for ourselves and the quality of work we wanted to deliver as financial planners. And I think that's where we struggled for years, was just something has to give in that conflict. And that's really what ultimately led us to talking with Cameron and PWL in 2024. And then fast forward 2025, August 1st was our first day at PWL. Once you peek under PWL's hood, you can't unsee it. So I'm stealing this quote from my brother. Happy to do that. But Braden talked a lot about customizing the tech environment for one purpose. And again, we felt customization was not limited to, but needed to be in all areas of our business at TCM. And again, someone mentioned tech talking to each other. That's so key. We also felt like we were on an island at our dealer as a markets work planning focused company. And we met with many dealers, and it felt really impossible to invest back into the platform in a way that maximized the benefits for our clients specifically. And that was something we dealt with for, again, a long time, where we just felt like we could never really, customize that platform to make it work for, at the end result, the delivery and things we're delivering to our clients. So again, after that one team, one investment philosophy, one purpose, we really couldn't find anyone else on the marketplace to fit what we were already building. And I think this makes a lot of sense in that we were a smaller team with the same investment philosophy, same mission, same purpose. And I would say that joining on August 1st, we took a leap forward in all functions of our business right away, which was great. And also, I think, in my opinion, it's also future-proofed our business for our clients and for us as well. And I would say that it's not the projects that are underway here that fire me up about the future for us and our clients. I would say it's the quality of people on this team that are behind the projects. And you can see the determination and the dedication for improving systems, process, client experience every single day. And it's really impressive. We couldn't match it in our previous model. And it just feels like this team over here has our back and our clients' back. And I would say that has personally lifted a lot of weight off my shoulders. And I'm sure you're feeling, if you're on this call, you feel some of that weight. It kind of goes in peaks and valleys. I'm sure you'd agree with me. But yeah, that's as far as the firm having our back, I think is a key point I wanted to make there. Talking about my fears, if you want to hear about my fears, here we go. So in the last section, I talked about the alignment, PWL's values, purpose, mission. That's all a clear fit for us. So then it was, okay, dealing with the fears, the emotional side of things. So the first one, I would say, what if the PWL team was not as advertised? So that was a concern leading up. And I'll tell you that they're exactly advertised and more. I've made so many great friends here, just genuine great people across the board. And the people that are being hired here, just, again, it's amazing, the people that are being attracted to work under this platform and a part of this team through Ben's channels and the Rational Reminder. It's just attracting just awesome people. And it's just an awesome day-to-day working environment. And I would say because it's collaborative and engaging and fun. My second fear, what will my life be like under an employment contract? So the thought of this is likely going to be the barrier in your mind to reaching out to PWL after this call, I would guess. So let me share a few realities. So I have the same autonomy as I did before. I'd say I have the same control over my schedule, meaning I work the same hours as before, but I'm still in control of my day-to-day or my week-to-week. I'm not micromanaged in the least. And I think ultimately, as advisors, we are client-facing, and I'm still answering, reporting to clients, and there's no changes there. So that's where I feel like my lifestyle hasn't really changed, because I'm still reporting to clients, and I guess I report to 100 plus people, which sounds kind of scary saying that out loud. But And then lastly, I would say the fear of just what will my clients think. Our clients really embrace the change, especially after checking out PWL, and could hear the excitement through our voices and that type of thing, and all the content out there that they could check out. And all of our clients have joined us now under PWL's platform. Even the ones that we thought wouldn't join have come, which is, I think, a bit of a surprise to us, but a welcome surprise. So yeah, so the next, I guess the last thing I'll share with you is just the one thing I wish I would have known before. So talk to a previous version of myself. I really didn't feel like, I didn't expect to be this energized, doing the work I love, learning from supportive teammates, making a real impact for existing and new clients. And I really feel like this excitement, it reaches new highs every day. And I know that's going to sound salesy, but that's just the reality that I'm living over here. And I really didn't expect that. And I think that's the result of, I think, being more focused on the role I have as an advisor. I'm learning a lot from the teammates here, and an attendee mentioned someone else being able to audit your work. I feel like as a part of a bigger team, you get that. And I think that increase in learning and a more focused role, I strongly believe that our clients at TCM, they benefit from the output of that. And that was the goal of this whole process. So anyways, to wrap up, I'd say this section, I'd say if you're contemplating the next chapter of your business, like we were, I think you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your clients to at least have conversations with PWL. I think this is very unique over here. I think it's different, and it's also kind of makes sense for what we feel is the future of wealth management in Canada, and we're on the front end of that, which is fun, and that makes it a blast to be a part of it all. So anyways, I hope my experience is helpful. To give a broader perspective, I'm going to hand over now to Ben to talk about why joining PWL will make sense, could make sense, and to walk you through the actual transition process and how it all works.
Yeah, thanks, Connor. It's awesome. So I'm going to start with kind of talking about comparing what our model is designed, the type of people it's designed for, and who it may not be designed for. So I'm actually going to start on the right side. So PWL's model might not be for you if full autonomy matters more than alignment. You truly enjoy kind of having the control and don't want to align with something bigger. If your independence outweighs shared standards or the ability to collaborate on a regular basis with other teammates, if maximum flexibility matters more than scaling to become a better business, impacting more clients, you truly enjoy building your own infrastructure. And that's not a criticism. It's just something that people really like doing. If they like building up their business and like the operational aspects of the job, in addition to advising clients, and if the fully independent model fits best. And just want to kind of preface that by saying, like, if you enjoy building, maintaining your infrastructure, selecting your own tools, and operating independently, it's a completely valid path. We know many outstanding advisors that thrive in this type of environment. We're just building something that's a different path here at PWL, and just want to share what that looks like. So kind of going onto the other side, this model is for you if the quality of advice is non-negotiable. We hold ourselves to a very high standard. We want to maintain very high quality advice to clients, both in investment management and financial planning. It's anchored in evidence, and it's truly in the best interest of clients. And if you follow this path, you also feel tension when good advice has to compete with internal incentives, which, when Cameron asked earlier, that was one of the pain points that a couple people brought up. Philosophical alignment is core to success. This is another non-negotiable to us. We don't want to debate philosophy, predict, forecast markets. Like, we have a defined investment philosophy. We've got a pretty clearly defined planning philosophy, and we're all aligned. So whether you're talking to an advisor in Ottawa, in BC, in East Coast, wherever you are talking, you're going to get a consistent answer as an end client. You want to operate inside a firm where the debate is about execution, not ideology, and you want to be surrounded by advisors who think the same way. You can collaborate with them and elevate your game to a new level. It's for you if you're building for the future. If you want your next decade to be bigger than your last, we're looking to build something bigger than us, something that lasts beyond even the team that's here today. We want to build for the future and build for impact across the country. If you feel the weight of building on your own, as you kind of get successful in business, the reality is that you sometimes get pulled away into tasks that you don't want to do, like the operational side, building out a tech stack, the compliance, the content, research, recruiting, and HR. Scaling alone can be much harder than it looks, especially if the passion that you have is actually providing good advice to clients. And final point is that you want to be part of a firm that's not just another dealer. So the shared philosophy, shared standards, shared accountability, and being part of a team that pushes you to be better rather than connected to a dealer where you've got good infrastructure and services, but you're kind of still on an island. So we kind of believe that what we're building is a unique opportunity to make the Canadian wealth industry better, and we can't do that alone. If the best planners in Canada come together inside the right structure, we can meaningfully reshape the landscape and kind of hopefully show more Canadians that there's more beyond the big five banks and truly great financial planning experiences. And I guess just to sum off that slide, our model is not for everybody, and that's intentional. We are building a truly integrated, aligned firm, and we want anybody to partner with us to kind of share that vision. So why might you join PWL? At PWL, we feel like we've kind of built some of the best-in-class, purpose-built infrastructure, and we're continually trying to improve that. You get the best of an independent model and a scaled model. Most advisors eventually hit a ceiling because of infrastructure limitations, not because of their own capability. So we've kind of intentionally built a unified philosophy that removes friction, can allow us to scale. We've got dedicated in-house research on investing and planning, the tools that Braden mentioned to help elevate us. Again, the planning tools that advisors can actually use that's driven by the research, but is a great value add to the client experience. And then the content engine that is a big part of driving inbound organic growth, attracting new clients to the firm. And then operations that are built to scale as our firm grows. We're supported by a great team on the operational side. Another important point, I think, is the equity opportunity. So we're not on our own little island. We are part of a much bigger company. A year ago, we were acquired by One Digital, which is a diversified financial services platform with a diversified business line in retirement, employee benefits, property casualty insurance, PEO, and then wealth is actually one of their most recent verticals in the last 6 years or so. And PWL is a big part of moving that vertical forward in Canada, but we're also having a big impact and influence on how they grow in other parts of, the US and possibly beyond over time. I think the other important point is that we're also backed by CPP Investments and Stone Point Capital. And some people might view private equity as a bad thing. Like, you've got private equity investors, they're going to push you to meet your targets and they're focused on the returns, which partly there might be some truth to the fact that private equity investors want to see a return. Obviously, that's an important bottom line. But the partners we have through CPP and Stone Point are long-term growth-oriented capital partners. As they see strategies that are working from an organic growth perspective, they're willing to actively invest more capital in what is working well. They are coming alongside us to help us make the business better, not just giving us mandates. So I guess, what does this change? Investments in technology and talent are made proactively to help us grow the business, help partner with you when you're part of this team, growth decisions are driven by opportunity, not constrained by capital. So we're, as a smaller firm, we can now go and find great people to come inside of us, whereas to a certain extent, we would have been capped by our own capital constraints or the regulatory constraints by CIRO. And then equity participation. So when you come into PWL, you would typically get equity as a portion of the package. So that equity gives you an opportunity to participate in growth beyond your own practice revenue. So this kind of changes the risk profile of your future. You're not just selling in, you're gaining exposure to a much larger platform. And I think another important point is that founder-led leadership matters. So Cameron is effectively the founder of today's PWL Capital. He wasn't the founder, one of the early founders of PWL, but he joined very early on and has been integral to the growth. So there's very much a founder mentality. We're doing this, we're building this for enduring value, not optimizing for an exit. And the same thing at the One Digital level. The company is still founder-led by Adam Bruckman and Mike Sullivan. And for the time that we have spent alongside them, they are highly passionate of growing and building a great business, not just growing to become a big business. So it feels like, from our experience, it's a unique environment where we have both institutional backing and entrepreneurial leadership from what we can see as a pretty rare combination in business at large. And then at a practical level, what does this look like if you were to roll in? Like, we structure partnerships in a way that is competitive and aligned. There's a few different paths depending on where you are in your career. And there's capital, becomes like a split between cash and equity, like I said. This isn't about giving up control of your business. Like, yes, you'd be rolling in. Yes, you're technically an employee, like Connor said, but it's about upgrading your platform and becoming part of something bigger. And how we think about partnership. Again, to give you a bit of background of where I come from. So I started my career in compliance roles for 7 years before moving into an advisor role at PWL. And since joining PWL, I've been on the leadership side. I've helped to build out the client experience team to where it is now. I've seen what works when philosophy, structure, and incentives are aligned, and I've seen friction that shows up when they're not. Like, having these different perspectives from regulatory oversight, client relationships, team leadership, and now in M&A, I think gives me a unique perspective as to where we're positioned in the industry. So my role now is I'm the head of M&A architecture at PWL. That word architecture may seem opaque from the outside looking in, but it's an intentional word. We're not trying to accumulate transactions and become bigger. We're trying to design a firm that gets stronger. We're asking the question, like, what makes this firm better 10 years from now? Is it going to strengthen our culture? Is it going to reinforce our philosophy? Will it improve the client experience across the platform to partner with these individuals? And if the answer is not clearly yes, or there's some hesitation, we wouldn't move forward. Even if it's highly profitable on paper, there's stories from Mike Sullivan where, from a numbers perspective, great deal on paper, but from a culture alignment perspective, it didn't make sense. So he's walked away from some big deals. And I think that's a big testament in the industry. We heard a story recently where a longtime colleague in the States of Cameron mentioned that someone from One Digital talked to him, and they're the first and only firm that showed a genuine interest in their business to actually learn about who they are and what they've built, not just trying to kind of run the numbers and figure out how it works from a financial perspective. And so I guess, like, if it makes sense and we find people we deeply care about to partner with, and there's alignment, the process itself is straightforward at a high level. We start with mutual discovery. We want to learn. We want to make sure that you feel the same way about we do, finding a great partnership. We want to understand your business, your team, where there might be friction, where there's opportunities to improve our business. If it makes sense, we would then frame up the structure and move through diligence to thoughtfully prepare for a deliberate integration with the firm. So as you kind of hear this message, if something has resonated with you today, next step is not to jump right into paperwork. It's like, we just want to have a conversation. We truly enjoy having conversations, compare notes, learn about what you've built, learn about how you view the industry, and what your next chapter might be. If it's PWL, that's an opportunity, great. If it's not, we still love just having a chat. We want to explore properly, and we want to build this firm well. So always encourage conversations just to get to know and chat with people out there.
It's great. Thank you, Ben. Thanks, guys. Just to sum up here, and please put any questions you have. We have a couple we'll get to here in a second, but Canada desperately needs what we represent. We're not alone in representing this, but we are going to be the largest scale firm that believes that financial planning matters and markets work. It is so obvious that this country needs it. This country deserves it. People cannot find independent firms that stand for this easily. We are going to lead the charge on great content, and we're going to meet and help all kinds of Canadians. Currently, we're about $5 billion in the core part of the team, helping about 2,500 families or so. Why shouldn't this movement be 50 billion? There's no reason why it shouldn't be. And we're looking for people who want to be part of that change in Canada. And as Ben said, please do reach out. We're just looking to talk to people, meet people, fire away any questions you have. So thanks everyone for coming. And I'm going to there's one question here for sure that I can take, and I'll pass one over to Braden after. So one question is, what is the difference between PWL Ottawa, Toronto, and Montreal? And can the same PWL culture be expected at all three sites? So right now we're a national firm. We have people in all but 3 provinces, I think now, because due to COVID, we did go remote, but we do have actual physical site in Ottawa where I am, in Toronto and in Montreal and in Regina. So the 4th city with an actual office. The Toronto and Montreal offices each have a team that is kind of our old model, which was independent advisor-owned teams that worked inside a dealership. Those 2 teams are led by people who are great, longtime friends of ours. We would never change the model for them, but we're not looking to add people onto that independent, what we called shared services platform. They're phenomenal people. Anyone that listens to the podcast knows that Dan Bortolotti is a regular co-host on with the Bens and myself once in a while. So that's philosophy is the same, planning focus, markets work, phenomenal professionals. And I would say the culture would be exactly the same, but there are 2 teams that work in a shared supported service model. Braden, there's a question here about AI, any AI integration. You knew there'd be at least one question on AI.
Yeah, I mean, AI is here for sure. So it's our job to be able to navigate that and to be constantly evaluating how AI fits into our platform. So I think the challenge is, and it's the same challenge that I alluded to before, but each one of these vendors has their own version of AI. I know Conquest specifically is rolling out plan creation via AI in April. So that's going to be here. And each one of these vendors that we're partnered with has some instance of AI and is working on using AI as a part of their platform. But without a platform like us to be able to tie everything together, it still doesn't, you're still not able to solve that problem. You still need the technical skills in-house to be able to bridge those gaps and to integrate everything. So that's the type of stuff that we're working on, trying to leverage AI to solve our problems in terms of if there's gaps that these products um, there's still gaps in these products that they leave for us to come in and layer into, like the planning checklist and leveraging AI to help create, planning deliverables from those checklist notes. It's stuff that, yeah, we're working on all the time.
And 6 years ago, we made the strategic decision to invest in a data lake. I talked to firms, many are larger, some are significantly larger than us, that don't have a data lake. How important is having a data lake, and what does it actually mean? And how important is that in the AI revolution?
I mean, it's critical. You can't. So I know yesterday AI plugins for wealth were announced from Anthropic. Like the big thing there is that you need to have something to plug the AI into. And that's where we're positioned really well because we own our own data. So when you can plug an AI into what we already have, the foundation that we've already built through our data lake, then that's where everything comes to life essentially. But if you've got AI that you're not, but you don't own your own data, then there's really no differentiator there.
Yeah,
Ben, you
lots
want
of
to take a
lot
crack on these
great.
questions here? Read the
Yeah,
question.
for sure. Lots of great questions coming and keep them coming. So advisors like Connor completed due diligence before joining PWL to ensure it aligns with what is important to them. Philosophical alignment, as Ben mentioned. Conversely, what does PWL do to assess prospective partnerships with advisors or other individuals looking to join PWL? In other words, how do you ensure that the current values and philosophy endure as the organization grows? Great question. So I think that is core to how we want to grow. The philosophical and cultural alignment is key. If you don't kind of fit that mold, it's not going to make sense. So we spend a lot of time, have many conversations up front, learning about advisors' businesses, kind of learning what's important to them, what their pain points are, how they've built it, what is a non-negotiable, what things they're flexible on, and get a good sense of what's important and if there's going to be alignment. Like, we recognize that as we meet advisors, nobody's going to be perfectly aligned with PWL, but if you're mostly aligned and okay, we do a little bit of different investment portfolios over here, and there's some different ways we approach planning. If we can come together and take the best of it all from your side, from our side, and come even better as a whole, that's going to be great. And I guess you said other individuals. We're also very intentional when we're hiring people off the street for a new role. We have a very thorough interview process where we assess cultural fit, technical aptitude. There's a multi-step process. So it's very important to us.
Maybe Connor, you can take this question. What independence, flexibility should we be prepared to relinquish in joining PWL? Specific examples.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I think it's as soon as I saw it pop up there, I knew that was going to be me. And I think for, and again, I think that's was a part of the fear for myself and going independent and having control. I think it's great to have control over all the decisions, but then that's also just, you also have to make all the decisions, and that's not always efficient. But I really think it is that control that maybe you're giving up, but then you're putting it in the trust of other people. And that I think is the scary thing about moving from being independent to and giving that up, because you know you're going to have to delegate that control to somebody else. And I think that's why we spent so much time talking to the people and getting an understanding of the culture, looking at the values of the firm. And there were so many parallels there for us that it really felt like we went from an independent company to an independent company. But we really went from an island to really what feels like a home over here. And I've said that a couple times. And it's true. So I think that's I can't think of any specific from a lifestyle standpoint, anything I've given up.
I do give us some stuff that you were happy to give up, right?
Well, and I think that's key. Like, I mean, I could never have hired Braden, for example, and he's incredible. And I think sometimes when you're listening to the Rational Reminder and Ben's YouTube, you see some of these voices on this team, and what's really incredible is there's just so many incredible talented people on this team, and giving up control over those decisions. And I think one thing I wanted to mention as well is just the collaboration is really a thing that happens here. So I still feel it's very important to me. I'm a creative person. I like to be involved with helping give my input and on different projects, and being involved in projects, sharing my opinion on things. And that's the culture here. So I think that those are some, I guess, examples of maybe fears that I had that I thought I would have to relinquish, but didn't have to. So I hope that gives some light to that. Happy to chat with anybody about their specific situation after this, over coffee or virtual coffee.
I'll take another question here from a friend of mine. Thanks for joining us today. Model portfolio vary a little bit from team to team. What is the flexibility about the model portfolio? I do dimensional fund advisors funds and pure index ETFs with a lot of capital gains. Yes, we're of course we're open to that. We're not that dogmatic about things, as long as a direction and there's a plan for any sort of transition for securities that may not fit. But honestly, if you're in alignment like that, we have to be a great home for you. We have to be. Ben?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions here. So this question was, would a solo advisor be teamed with paraplanning and operations support when they onboard? Can you describe that process? Great question. So as we've kind of gone down this road, we're learning and growing. We have some dedicated M&A roles now. There's a dedicated M&A onboarding team. So they wouldn't necessarily do 100% of the work, but they're there to help guide the process and do a lot of the paperwork up front. So right now there's 3 people on that operations team. From a paraplanning perspective, the answer is it depends. Ideally, we work on a diamond team model where there's a senior wealth advisor at the top that's kind of focused on relationships and business development, a wealth advisor that's filling up their book and kind of building relationships for the long term, an associate wealth advisor that provides the paraplanning type support, and a client service advisor that's kind of the ops type role. So that's a typical traditional diamond, and our goal is to get to something that looks like that. So if you're a solo advisor, we would definitely move in that direction. For earlier on, you might get the support of somebody else as we build out that team. But that's the goal, to kind of build this scalable model over time. And there's another comment from this same individual that got imposter syndrome about joining PWL. I think a lot of us have imposter syndrome, even being at PWL. Like, we are surrounded by high quality people, but we are just people. We're learning from each other and getting better from collaborating with one another. We don't have everything figured out. And we know that there's lots of other great people that we can partner with. And that's the beauty of what we're building here. Couple other questions that fall under kind of something I can take care of. What are the minimum requirements to join your team in terms of experience and licensing? I don't know if there's a minimum requirement, but ideal requirements: someone that is a CFP and able to practice as at least an associate portfolio manager or PM. We set up discretionary accounts. That's basic level. We can get deeper to that offline if you have more questions there.
I'll add to that. I talk to lots of people that want to break into the industry often. And I say, look, if you want to get if you want to work here, which I hear many people, they just want to get in. I say, just keep an eye on the job board and get in, get their credentials, and prove yourself. There's all kinds of opportunity in all kinds of different departments here. And it really is an incredible thing when you see we're up to 120 or so people in all the different areas working together on the one mission. It's super powerful.
How do you look at diversified businesses, those with non-wealth and investment business lines? Great question. We have just recently set up like an insurance MGA relationship. So we are bringing insurance in-house. So we want to kind of be a one-stop shop as much as possible for clients. So insurance, we're interested in over time having a tax preparation division, for example. Other options that could come up all the time that are wealth adjacent. Those are things that we're looking to kind of build out. So we would take that on a case by case basis, but it's definitely something we're interested in building and making us better.
Ray, you want to take that one down there?
Sure.
You
Yeah,
might be able to relate.
just a little bit. So the question is, would someone with an engineering background be of use to PWL? Well, I mean, I hope the answer is yes, because I'm here. So I hope that I'm adding some value. But to answer your question, yeah, of course. I mean, it's kind of the same answer actually that Cameron gave to the new advisors, is keep an eye on the job board. If you want to make that career switch, there's lots of opportunity for non-client facing roles. Keep an eye on what's out there, and you know, it's the same thing. You might just have to get your foot in the door, learn. Like it took me a long time to get up to speed in this industry. There's a lot to learn.
But
But
can I
I
add to
think,
that, Braden? I just want
yeah.
to add something that I've observed watching you and Ben Felix work together. And you guys have both told me this, where there's problems that have come up that took both of your brain power then to build a model to solve the questions, right? Super nerdy, super wonky, but really important. And the math does matter. But these are things that are often solved with rules of thumb, which you mathematically showed are insufficient.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the technical skills beyond just like setting up a platform and all of that, but the technical skills applied to financial planning, I think is a completely different world. And I think that there's a lot of ways that we can add value in bringing that technical problem solving approach into improving client outcomes directly beyond just building out a great platform, but actually analyzing strategies, thinking through how to solve planning strategies that actually impact clients' goals. I think there's a lot of great technical work that, like Cameron said, can make a big difference.
Any final thoughts from each of you? Just quickly. Connor?
I was going to say that a lot of the conversations between Taylor and I over a couple of years, and as we started to talk with PWL, we'd always come up with something that, okay, here's the thing that's going to make it, this isn't going to work because of this. And I just encourage you to, whether you talk to other people in the industry that you trust, or you reach out to PWL and they direct you to someone on a team that can talk you through some of these maybe objections in your head. I just wanted to share that happened numerous times, where it just takes conversations and being a bit open to conversations, whether it's with PWL or lead you down a path of talking to other people. Just wanted to share that.
Braden?
No, I think that we are truly doing something different here, building a planning first, markets work, purpose built platform. And I'd be happy to take on any more questions if you guys, if anyone wants to chat further.
Ben, very quickly.
Yeah, I think the important point is just like, if you're curious, just to have a conversation, reach out. Like, we were not actively looking to sell when we ultimately made a deal with One Digital. Just as things progress, you never know what might be possible, and if you don't have the conversation, the option's not there. So it's always a no pressure conversation. We always want to learn and get better, and if that's just having a great connection in the industry, we're all for that.
Great. Thanks everybody for joining us. This is one incredible team with one incredible opportunity that this country needs. So thanks for joining us, and let's stay in touch, everybody.